We're consumers, Jim. Okay, buy a lot of stuff, you're a good citizen. But if you don't buy a lot of stuff, what are you then, I ask you? What? Mentally ill. If you don't buy things, toilet paper, new cars, computerized blenders, electrically operated sexual devices. We're consumers, Jim. Okay, buy a lot of stuff, you're a good citizen. But if you don't buy a lot of stuff, what are you then, I ask you? What? Mentally ill. If you don't buy things, toilet paper, new cars, computerized blenders, electrically operated sexual devices, stereo systems with brain implanted headphones, screwdrivers, miniature built-in radar devices, voice-activated computers. Look, listen, Neil, pray.
To commercial. Get him.
I refuse to be a motherfucking victim.
Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, bringing you a grand solar minimum update on Wednesday, November 28th at 12:30 a.m. Mountain Time 2018. It may seem as if we're living in a global warming world, but the facts are showing before your very eyes on the GFS total snowfall model. 39 states predicted to have snow over the next 10 days, and we are still 4 weeks out from the official start of winter in North America. At this point, many people should be considering that all of the information that they've absorbed over the last 3 decades is a lie, and it won't fly. Do you remember last year when there was over 600 water main breaks on the East Coast? Can you say repeat times 10? And then again, there are those who are sheep that are still asleep. And that's a boom. You've entered Boom Studios. It's true. Shy, damn. Keep calm. It's boom time. Chi-Town weather, thousands remain without power after snowstorm hits the Chi-Town area. Look at how happy these pricks are. Kelly, Clark, whoever these people are, they get paid billions of dollars to be assholes. The first major blizzard of the season left thousands of travelers stranded, and they didn't give up about you, the powers that be. It knocked out power to hundreds of thousands of people. In fact, over 500,000 at one point were recorded down just 48 hours ago, including businesses. And as of 4:15 p.m. today, ComEd said 23,000 customers were still without service. 4 weeks out from winter, as we descend to the grand solar minimum. More than 90% of impacted homes have been restored. But if we increase this tenfold over the coming 2 years, this is going to be a nightmare. Most outages were north of Chi-Town in the northwest burbs. The company called in 260 additional crews. Now, can you imagine a scenario where multiple major cities call in all these additional crews? When you call in additional crews, you're scroozed. Arlington Heights Village Manager Randy Recluse didn't buy the company's claims that it was working hard to get the power back on. Can you imagine when it's 10 cities that require additional crews? You're scroozed. There's nothing that rhymes with that. I apologize. Snowfall breaks record in northern Illinois. All-time records broken in half. And this truck is a badass truck. Look at that. This is early in November. Remember? Ow! Do you see this truck? It's yellow. You might be colorblind. I don't know. You might think snow's yellow. Hey, fellow. It's been one of the most miserable starts to winter on record ever. And records begin when we were able to begin the records.
Raise your hand if you're sick of the cold and the ice. Oh, you are not alone. It's been absolutely miserable in many parts of the country. Now, the Midwest Regional Climate Center has come up with something called the Accumulated Winter Season Severity Index. We don't want to get too technical on you because it's more commonly known as the Winter Misery Index. And as you get
They don't want to get technical on you because we're all living in a global warming world. And if she actually explained what it meant, it would mean that it is the coldest time ever experienced in the last 200 years on this planet. But this C word with the purple dress is pretending that it's warm outside.
We don't want to get too technical on you because it's more commonly known as the Winter Misery Index, and as you guessed it, the misery level has been really high in a lot of places, and all those places you can see are indicated by these dots on the map in the purple. In the red, that's...
Yeah, the dots with the purple is bad. That's why I wore this purple dress. So I could totally fucking be a fraud and make it sleeveless so that it's totally hot outside.
Where it's been milder, the purple, well, it's been more extreme. Let's head on over to one of them. New York City will be our first pit stop.
Oh my God,
Winter
let's
Storm
head on
Avery
over.
dropped
I
more
am
than...
so brain damaged, and I have about like 12 IQs, and then if I split them in half, we can each have 6. So, and these people told me that if I showed you this, it's awesome. So look, there's a little snowfall to the right, and it's like
it took a full blown week to get to Thanksgiving and Black Friday to get above freezing, but we know so many of you were freezing for the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Parade.
We're going to show you the bright yellow ones because
in Burlington,
these yellow ones are awesome.
3 times the average season to date snowfall. And there was...
Stop it! Stop it. It's banal nonsense. Whew. I'm almost insane in the membrane. And I can't even begin to... Let me just take a moment and let's look at the facts. The accumulated winter season severity index tracks cold and snow in cities across the U.S. since they've been able to write with a pencil. Now, the winter misery index is extreme in dozens of locations. Now, that is a little obfuscation from the truth because it's almost 12 dozen, which would be a gross, and it's in half of a gross cities in the plains in New England. Some locations have had record miserable start to the winter. And this is an understatement beyond all recognition. Now, if you're living in what they claim for 3 decades is a global warming world, and the 2018-2019 AWSSI, which would be all worldwide suspect schmucks initiate, this graph will show you that right now, well, yeah, November 27th, that's right now when I'm speaking, in many places on the globe, is almost 3 times higher than the average misery index for winter weather. Now, if you think that, and you've been believing the IPCC for 3 decades, that we're warming up and the sea levels are going to rise and everyone's going to die and burn up, then you're a schmuck. And you don't give a because each and every week that we live, the facts are more blatant. And at some point, when your pipes burst in Alabama and South Carolina and there's no more water to your house for months because 68 other water mains broke this winter, you'll come back and look at this episode from the Oppenheimer Ranch Project and be like, hey, Diamond is a reasonable guy. He just has a weird delivery. That's because my eyes opened up a decade ago. And the population since then has exploded with idiots. Look at the black line. Now, look to the right of the black line. The purple region, the blue region, the tan, and the orange. We won't even mention the lower color, which could be any number of things for many of you. I would call it Chablis. Some of you would say plum. Now, going into the winter, you can see that this black line is well above the red line. In fact, it's twice as high as where the red line registered, which means the misery index is 2 times higher than the average for all of recorded history. Now, if you're twice as miserable as all of recorded history, and the prediction is for you to be 100 times more miserable next year, do you think you should start preparing and stop listening to the garbage that the mainstream puts out by puppets that have so much misinformation? Even half of the puppets know what's happening, and they're still lying to your face. It's a disgrace. I would buy bear mace because they outlawed real mace decades ago. The winter misery index as of today is extreme in 74 cities in the northern 48. This is 10 times higher than any year ever in modern history. And it's not a mystery. It's the facts, but they put the yellow dots in because they seem to show some kind of warming. But the yellow dots mean average misery. They don't mean warming at all. That's how they obfuscate the truth. All of these dots are data points of misery. And there's a fucking lot of them. And that's tonight's first boom. And it's not a boom of gloom, because it's a hot chick. Not quite as hot as Leah, but it's the best I could get on the internet. The misery index is off the chart. Please share this with your friends. Because if they say, well, there's just as many yellow dots, that is average misery. Not warming, because there is no warming anywhere, and by next year they will literally have to be calling on the equator to show any warming. They'll be like, look, it's hot in Panama. It hit 84 today. It's 84 in Panama. Now the new GFS models are showing a storm coming through the first week of December into southern Oklahoma, and another cold wave into North Florida. Many people email me today. They're like, I don't even know what's going on. Diamond, help me. Well, all you need to do to survive and thrive is get away from sheep and buy seeds. Oh, and smoke weeds. We have a second blizzard moving through Nebraska and northern Iowa. All you people in North Iowa that said, I didn't see any snow. Ho, ho, ho. It's coming 4 weeks before Christmas. You won't miss this. Quad Cities already broke all-time records. And those aren't schmackards. Those going to the Four Corners region in the next few days are going to experiencing grand solar minimum effects. And so I can't recommend you descending on this region if you've never been there in the next few days, because you're going to miss out on the beauty. I'm going to be leaving in 12 hours and heading west, because that's the best direction to ever go. But I want you to look at the record snows falling in the Sierras. They're off the charts. So once they hit 4 feet, it ends. So when you're looking at a 100 square mile area with 4 feet in the center, you could expect 8 feet, right on the crosshair. And that's only the middle of the model, which only goes out a week. So these snows are showing in San Diego, La Jolla, Big Bear. You don't care. We're a month from winter, and they're going to be experiencing record snows just north of Tucson. And when Leah flies back into Albuquerque on Monday, it won't be a fun day, because her ride is right up through the Chama Pass here into the Four Corners, right back home, where we're expected to get up to 4 feet of snow through December 8th. Thank God I put that roof up. Look at those totals. Heads up. Could be an epic ski season in Durango. Purgatory is going to be loving it. one of the cheapest mountains on the planet to ski in the middle of nowhere. Cowboy country. Global cooling is coming. That's why I have a channel. If it wasn't coming, I would not put my entire reputation on the line by starting this channel. Now, I got my undergraduate degree starting in 1989, received it in 1993. They sent me a letter to my house that said I had a full scholarship to grad school if I wanted, plus they would pay me to teach. Are you kidding me? It's the way it went down. Now, politics and science are at loggerheads. And those are turtles. The problem is that the scientists and politicians for decades have been driven by dogma. They've been driven by the false pretense that the National Science Academy and other places that are funding the science are doing a good job at giving the people that will expose the truth the money. And that's not funny. They've been giving the money to the funny people, the people that support the dogma. So, starting back in 1990, if you needed funding for the first decade and your scientific endeavor did not include global warming, you had to include it. So as you included global warming into your dogma to get the funding, your data didn't show it. So you had to lie. And so what we're dealing with now is billions of dollars funding millions of graduate student projects that all claim that we're heating up, that are proving the lie of global warming, that CO2, the greenhouse gas that represents barely a fraction of 1%, of which 90% is created naturally by the globe, is causing us to burn up, which is a complete farce. From the rip, from the very beginning, the global warming ruse that CO2 heats the planet is a lie. And over 90% of geologists and paleoclimatologists and actual climatologists worldwide know that CO2 follows temperature rise on Earth. It's proven. It was proven decades ago. So anyone that believes anything different is a fraud, which is every other scientist that got their degree in the last decade in the field of climatology. Because the climatology textbooks printed in the last 15 years begin in the introductory chapter claiming that CO2 warms Earth, which is a fucking lie! There is no proof of that whatsoever. The overwhelming evidence is that CO2 follows temperature geologically on Earth. So you're all schmucks and you've been duped. And back in 65 to 75, the mean temperature on Earth dropped almost a degree C in many places, up to 2 degrees C up in the Arctic. And this spawned a whole wave of ice age now, global cooling, conspiracy, which was not a conspiracy, it's true. They just didn't know the cyclic nature of the climate. Here's the global cooling. 65 to 75 mean temperature, cold. And the reason was Cycle 20 was almost a mimic for Cycle 24, which you're living. Cycle 24 is a little lower. And it's going to continue to drop off the map. But come back to Cycle 20. So, by the end of this entire solar cycle, the whole world was convinced we were going into an ice age. And then it warmed up for decades. And you were duped by that prick Al Gore that we're going to burn up. But that was never the case. We've been cooling ever since. I can't make it more obvious than this graph. Ice age warning. North Atlantic conditions will have dramatic impacts on climate, according to experts. And other people that they're shutting down on social media. Britons could see shivering through a new ice age thanks to global warming and the destruction of the Greenland ice sheet. This is such an oxymoron that what you're getting here is a bunch of bad pictures with schmucks in dollar store glasses with some kind of crap that was made from China that they were able to afford because it came from the dollar store, and now they look all fucking fancy. Well, they're going to look really tasty in a few years when we need to eat them because they're going to be frozen to death in their apartment because they spent all their money on games and Netflix. Man, I can't wait to watch on my satellite uplink what happens in the major cities. As the grid fails, the gas gets shut off, and Muslims sled on their chest right through your heart. I have to take a fart. Watch this guy, my hero, the hero of the day. I don't know if you heard over the weekend, snow hit several Saudi Arabian regions for the third year in a row, as predicted by us, many other people that are not people. And that's what the barefoot men do in the desert. That guy kicks ass and takes names. Boom! See ya! Now, I don't know if you know, but in this region, it hadn't snowed for 130 years until the last 3 years. Yeah. Severe weather alerts issued ahead of Storm Diana in Ireland. This is the beast from the east, and this will continue. And there will be more fear-mongering from the Express and other rags. We don't give a shit. Very heavy rain and damaging wind for eastern North, South Wales and Australia. We're talking the same amount of rain we get here all year in like 7 hours. And that's all I have to say. Phreatic eruptions at Mayon volcano. These are steam eruptions. These occur as lava fills magma chambers. So guess what happens next, folks? Magma comes out of this baby. And that is definitely fuego. So we're looking at magmatic eruptions at Mayon in the coming weeks. Look at this volcano. It is, I'm a geologist. All it says is I've been flowing lava my whole fucking life. 2 phreatic eruption events were observed at Mayon on the 25th of November and 26th. Alert level remains at 2. The public is reminded that if you're nearby and camping, the flesh will fall off of your bone immediately. Yes, and that is a boom. Yes. It hates us. Her hair is dyed, though. So do you know that? Just in case you didn't know. Seismic update. I have been working my arse off all day. It's like a 22-hour day. I'll be headed to the desert in just hours, bringing all my camera equipment. We're going to see some amazing footage. I hired a Hopi guide on Friday. No, a Navajo guide to take me to Mystery Valley. And then on Thursday, we have a Hopi guide. Rex and I will be going who knows where. But if you want to see footage that has never been shown to the public, you better be watching for the next 2 days because we're going to provide it. We're not playing around. This is the time. This is the place, and it's going to happen before your very eyes. So stay tuned. No quakes of note. We did have a seismic uptick in Papua New Guinea off of the Fiji uptick. 5.8 New Hunter Caledonia. No major quakes. Mid-ocean ridges spreading as predicted. 5.5 North Atlantic. 5.8 North Ascension. That's Newbie. We have some rumbling over in Greece as well as Iran. So thank God we're at a war over there that's perpetual and will never end. You know, war on drugs, war on terrorists, boom, boom, boom. Military industrial complex much. Oh my God, I need a break. I can't wait to drive into the desert. It's just 4 hours west. The west is the best. Worldwide volcano news update. Fuego, Ducono, Reventador, Torrealba, Mayon, Sangay, Reventador, Sakurajima, Novatos de Chelan. I can't even say them all. But I have good pronunciation. So you can pick up what I just put down. That's a dozen, and they all erupted in the last 24 hours. Astropixels.com. Do you know what Perihelion and Aphelion is? I'm sure you don't. Maybe 6 of you do. Perihelion is the closest to the sun, and Aphelion is the furthest from the sun. You heard it here first. And if you're wondering about Milankovitch cycles and Perihelion and Aphelion, I'm about to share you some data. Come check out the graphs, links below. And here are the extreme perihelions at Earth. Perihelion is the closest to the sun. So, in 2020, when we get closest to the sun, we will be negative 7,000 kilometers away. That's cold. And in 2019, when we're furthest away from the sun at Aphelion, we're going to be 7,000 miles closer. Kilometers, my bad. So, extreme perihelions and aphelions for the next 100 years occur over the next 2 years. Are you picking it up? We will be the furthest away from the sun in 2020. And when we're the closest to the sun, we will be the furthest away ever in 2019. That sounds chilly. It's almost like you camped too far away from the fire. Almost. And that's a boom. Hey, did I tell you we're headed to Monument Valley tomorrow? I'm going to be camping on top of this butte. I'll smoke some marijuana here, and then I'll wander over there, and then I'll jump over to here, where I'll break dance on the mesa, and that will levitate me over to this mesa. It'll be amazing. If you don't know about Milankovitch and the entire study of my life, come check it out. He was born in 1879, died in 58, and he uncovered mathematically the orbital variations of the Earth. These perturbations include orbital eccentricity and the precession of the equinoxes, which is mind-blowing. And if your IQ is less than 108, you probably won't get it. So keep watching the channel and we'll just tell you what's happening live. Links will be below. NASA Administrator, the U.S. is returning to the surface of the moon. This announcement coming with it today, and we're doing it sooner than you think. You know why? Because we've been there for 40 fucking years, and you didn't even know it. Boom! Exactly as I suggest. If you've never been west or in Monument Valley, it's okay. We're going to share it with you over the next 2 days and you're going to see it live. In fact, the camera equipment I have and the location I'm allowed to set up my camera tomorrow night is absolutely insane. Not only that, I'm going to have 3/4 of a full moon. And if you know about the area I'm going to, it's one of the darkest places in the world. So you can imagine that I'll be filming tomorrow night, midnight, maybe even live streaming for all of you people on the internet. And I'll show you these buttes from my location live. We're going to stream it. We're going to beam it. We're going to beam it up to space and back down into your face. And it won't be a disgrace. It's going to be the facts. And the powers that be probably don't want to see aliens or spaceships or whatever they're doing. But whatever is brewing in Monument Valley, we're going to pick it up. Now we're meeting at Eagle Mesa, right from the campground here off of Highway 163. I'm going to be staying at a posh hotel in a suite near Merrick Butte, where they have jacuzzis, and I'm going to have some kind of a CBD massage up in my tincture. But I digress. None of that is actually happening. But what will be happening is nature. We're going to see sun, stars, the moon, the Milky Way. We're going to be in the darkest place on Earth, where some of the biggest secrets that have ever been hidden from you are right out in plain sight. In Monument Valley. The reason you never heard of it is because it's in the middle of nowhere. It's in fact an average of 320 miles from any population center. Because it is in fact the center of spirituality. They don't want you going here because if you go here, you will see through the lies immediately. Just like NASA announcing that they're going back to the moon and they're doing it sooner than you think. This is just this year, the same year that they announced that they lost the technology to go to the moon. Why don't they just dust off the old moon suits and use those? I'm sure they don't go bad. Anyway, I digress. So we're headed back to the moon according to NASA, and it's sooner than you think. And it'll be great because they're going to be filming it in Greenland. Stanley Kubrick is back, better than ever. Extinct Siberian unicorns. Yeah. Siberian unicorns walk the earth alongside of humans. Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, and the like. Where did all the unicorns go? They're now in your canned spam. Just like the buffalo. If you don't know where to go for witness in the desert, it's okay. No one does. But everyone is headed to the Mustang Valley campground. And I'll leave a link below. This is the only place you need to know. Bring money. Bring guns. And bring love. If you're coming out to this place for the wrong reason, you're not going to make it. If you're not a seeker of knowledge, do not come to this place. The universe will remove you. Now, Rex Bear and I on Thursday are headed south to a secret location with a private Hopi guide. And I've secured a Navajo guide for Friday to take me to a secret location, which you can watch live Friday night. The amount of information that has been withheld from you is embarrassing. What we learned in high school and grade school is a lie. The facts are in plain sight. It's written on rock. You don't have to be a genius to figure out that what was happening just recently was much different than what is happening now. And tomorrow and the next day, many of us will show you how. We'll certainly make you say, wow. Some of the most interesting hand-dug caves exist in the Monument Valley. Many of them have been shut with steel gates from the federal government in the 1940s when this was made a national monument. Many people own this land. It's private property, and yet they still can't access sacred sites. Now, if you take a look here, this whole butte, this looks like an eye socket. That looks like the nose, and these look like nostrils of a creature. And you can go right here near into his skull, into the pineal gland, and access something. I'm definitely going there. There's portals that come through and light up specific spaces that haven't been explored. It's one of the most unique places on the planet, especially in the northern 48. I've been there many times, and I will return tomorrow for a new chapter and discovery of what is actually happening on the earth. I am aware and prepared. I'm bringing ropes to descend into caves, belay devices, other security measures, but most importantly, I'm bringing my spiritual backpack. I'm prepared for anything. And the most important thing I know is that I do not know anything yet. I'm looking for the answers. Everything in my brain is dogma. It's a created narrative that's malleable, and I'm willing to change the ideas as they come. I received an amazing download in 2012 at the solstice, and ever since then the information has been coming. So my mission is to seek more knowledge and share it with you as it comes into my noggin. And starting tomorrow, it's happening. Join us in Monument Valley, Eagle Mesa, Mustang Valley Campground. All links below. Hope you got something out of the video. The next 3 days will be monumental in the information that many of us are about to share with you and the experiences that will happen before your very eyes. Live stream. Many of us are taking risks. We want nothing in return but your undivided attention. You don't have to believe us. Anything each and every one of us says, take it as a grain of salt. They're cogs in the wheel in the information highway that will take you skyway. You don't have to do it my way. If you ask for answers, they will come. I used to think it was crazy. Back when I was lazy. But now I know the truth. And we're waiting for you. We love you. Be safe. See you in the desert. And that's a boom. I'll be there.